everybody, welcome back to my craft room. I'm Kathy Champion and you're at Random Acts of Crafting. I thought today we would make this cute little candy holder that looks like a mason jar that's been decorated with some snowflakes, a bow, a little tag. The little tag has a to and from on the back of it. I don't know if you can see that. But this is just a really cute little container that you could give a classmate, a teacher, anybody that you come in contact with during the Christmas holidays. These would be super cute. If you wanted to get some of the little baggies that you could bring up and tie at the top, these would be super cute to go in there. And what's so nice about it, somebody could sit them on their desk and it would be a very decorative little piece that I think anybody would love to display on their desk or their table beside their chair or whatever. And I did fill it up with Hershey Kisses. So let's go ahead and get started on this. I think the first thing we're going to need, let me get some of my mess out of the way. I did that one earlier today as just a prototype. I wanted to make sure that I got all of my measurements right for you before we started. So we're going to start out with an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Now we're going to need to cut off an 8 by 2.5 inch strip. So I'm going to cut it off at 2.5 first. This will help ensure that we're going to keep as much of our length as we can, and I'll show you why we're going to do that. So let me get my trusty little trimmer out. And I'm going to do a 2.5 inch piece, and then we're going to cut that down to 8. So 2.5 by 8. And we know this is 8.5, so we're going to be taking a 1/2 inch off of that end. And that's all we need to do there. Now on this piece, I'm going to cut a 4-inch piece, just like you're going to be making a card, but it's just going to be 4 inches. And what we're going to use this for is to stamp our little jars on. Now you could do this any color you like. You could make this for any season. I mean, at Easter, Valentine's, it all depends on how you decorate it as to what time of the year or how you wanted to give it away. So after we get this piece, I'm going to go ahead and, I'll tell you what, I do want to cut this out. I just want to make sure that I've got room on here to put 2 of these. So I am going to make myself just a tiny little mark right about here. And I'm going to cut that off right there. And the reason for that is I want to use my Misty. I want to put it in the Misty to give myself the opportunity to double stamp if I need to. I probably won't need to because these stamps, they stamp beautifully. But just in case, and I am going to use my little Misty. And that's why I wanted to cut this piece of paper down, because I do want it to fit in here, just like so. And I'm going to put my magnet up here to the top edge, right about there. And I am using, this is a Maymay Stamp Set, and it's called Jar of Fun. And this is your jar. And we're going to use the jar as a whole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right about here. And I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to ink it up, and I want to use my VersaFine ink because we all love how this ink works on our stamps. Oops. So there we go. And I'm just going to close that door and get a good little press on it. Oh, and that stamp's so pretty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that stamp off. So I'm just going to clean that stamp off. I don't need to get it really clean. It's not like I'm putting it away just yet. I just want to get it cleaned enough so that I can move it without getting ink on my fingers. So I'm pulling it up, and now I'm going to lay it back down over on this side, just like that. And let's pick it up again. And ink it up. And then we're just going to press it down. Just like that. And now I am going to clean it up this time because we are finished with this. So that'll give the ink time enough to dry just a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do before I start cutting anything, I'm going to go ahead and get all the other pieces that we're going to need. So let's just take these out and let's lay them right here. And I am going to put this stamp back where it belongs. Just like so. I will link all of the directions, the dimensions, all the measurements, and everything that you need to make this. It will all be down in the description bar below this video. So now what we need to do, this little piece here that we cut that was 8 by 2.5, we need to do a little bit of scoring on this. And our scoring on this piece is going to be, oh, I found my scoreboard. We are going to score at 3 and 5 on this 8-inch side. So let me get my other score tool. I used this one earlier and I like the way it scored this. So we are going to go back with this. So we're going to score at 3 and 5. Then we're going to turn it to our 2.5-inch side, and we're going to score at 2 and at 1/2. So that's going to be 1/2 inch on each side, and at 3 and 5 on the 8-inch side. So that's all the scoring we have to do on that piece. So now we're just going to go ahead and crease this down. Wiping that off, making sure I don't have any of the residue from my wet wipe. I got glue or something right there because I can feel it. When I went across it just now, I kind of felt it. Okay, let's get my bone folder, and I'm just going to press this down really well. And then turn this side up. I'm going to press that down real well. You want nice crease, nice strong creases on this. So now I'm going to bend this score line, which would have been our 3, and then turn it, and this would be our 5. That's going to give you that 2-inch in the bottom that we need. But now we need to trim a little bit. So right here, and I'm just going to use my my cutter beads, and I have gotten glue on these. I think I cut some sticky tape. I'm gonna have to clean those off before I go to bed. I'm gonna cut up on that line just to the score line, just like that, and I'm gonna turn it around and do it on the other side. And I'm also gonna do it on this one. So all 4 of these score lines, you're just gonna cut up to the next score line. So that's all you need to do with this. And then we are going to build this box just like that. But before we do need another piece that's going to fit inside. And this piece is going to be about 2 3/4. About 2 3/4. Yeah, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 will work. and it needs to be 1 7/8. So 2 3/4, and we're going to use this piece we have right here because we've got 3 inches that way and we have 4 inches this way. So what did I say it was? Let me write this down because when I get ready to do this, I need to have those measurements. So our insert piece is going to be 2 3/4 by 1 7/8. So let's get our trimmer back. And I am going to cut it this way first because we need that 2 3/4, and we need it to be 1 7/8. Bear with me, and our 7/8 is right there. Next to the last one, if you're using the Cricut, it's next to the last mark before you get to the 2, because that last one would be our 16th mark. So that would have been 15/16. But we're not even going to go with 16ths. We're going to, I told you I will promise to try to keep you all away from those. But sometimes 7/8 is a pretty popular measurement. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a trial run just to see how that fits in there, and it does. And what I'm doing this for is I want some stability in the back of this because our jar is going to live on the front and the back. But I want that little bit of stability to go in there. You're also going to need a piece of acetate, the same dimensions. It needs to be the 3 inches, and this is, 2 3/4, so 2 3. No, this one I think I want longer. I measured this all out. No, we want it to be the same. So let's take this down to 2 3/4. So these are some scrap pieces of acetate that I had, and I saved them because I knew that something would come up where I'd be able to use these. And this is 1 7/8, so it's just barely a little bit off of this. So I am going to bring this down, and I'm going to sink this blade in the middle and up and down. Acetate can be a little difficult when you're cutting it. This is a very thin acetate, but this piece is going to go in the front to make a window, and this piece is going to go in the back to give us some stability. So we've got those pieces cut, and like I said, we're going to put everything together once I get all the pieces done and ready to go. I do have some snowflakes right here, and these are white ones, and I think I might use the white ones for this particular one. I did the silver on this one to kind of match the silver of the Hershey Kisses, but you know, with it being Christmas, it really doesn't matter. You can go with any color, any Christmas color or non-Christmas color. It really doesn't matter. So now let's see. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and get I actually have a die set, and this was the Maymay Made It die set companion that goes with the Jar of Fun, and that set looks like this, and it's one of the few die sets that I have to go with my stamps, because now I have a Brother Scan and Cut, so I don't really use it that often. But now one of these jars, I want a window in the middle, and I found an oval that was small enough to go right in the middle of this. I want it down almost to that line. So just kind of position it where you want it, and I am going to use a little bit of this purple tape, and I am going to put this down just barely like that, and the same with my jar. I want just a tiny piece of this tape, and I usually keep a piece on the side of my my work table so that I have it when I need it. And what I'm doing is I'm just centering that die over top of that stamped image, and I'm going to just put that down like that. And now let's get our die cut machine. Now if you do not have a die set for this, You can very easily fussy cut your jars. You can fussy cut your jar. I fussy cut some earlier when I was just doing a trial run, and this is one that I fussy cut. Now I did use the oval, but if you have a punch, you could take a small oval punch and put in there and punch out. You could do a circle. It doesn't have to. And if you don't have either, you can take and make yourself a template from a square and make a square in there. Or if you're using this stamp set, you could very easily use this little window. You could stamp that out and then put it on top of your, stamp it onto your jar. And then once you got that stamped on there, then you could take your little X-Acto knife and cut an X, and then get your scissors in there and cut that out. That would be cute too. So don't feel like just because you don't have a die machine that you can't make the projects that I show you. I use my machine because I have it, and it does make life a little easier. It makes my videos go a lot faster. So, but I do want you to know that you do not have to have the special equipment to make a lot of these cards that I show you and these little projects that I show you. So let's get this up here and load our plates in. And I am going to go ahead and put this in like so. And put my plate over top of it, and then we're going to crank that through. And 2 for 1, I'm going to get both of those cuts on that first jar, which is going to be our front. And hoping that my tape is going to come off easily. Let's see, that one came off really good. Let's pull that off. It's tearing right there, but I don't want it to tear my other image, so I'm being careful. And that's what you have to be careful with this tape. Sometimes it's a little stickier, but if you go really slow as you're pulling it off, just really gentle, and usually you can get it off without tearing the cardstock. And we did it. There you go. So now that is done, and you've got this little tiny piece of a red oval. Hang on to that. You can use that for something else, or maybe on a different card or what have you. So I don't throw away my little die cuts that I cut out like that, because you never know when they can be used. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fit this back over top of the jar on this side, and then I'm going to run this one through just like this. And this should be cut really well, and it did. There we go. Alrighty, so that is all taken care of. So now we have our 2 jars, we have our little box, and let me move these out of our way. And let me pull everything back over here so you can see what we're doing and what we got. Alright, there's our box that we made. Here is our acetate. Here's our little back piece that's going to live back here in the back. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use a little sticky tape right there on that. The reason I grabbed out the sticky tape, I want to use sticky tape on the acetate piece as well, because art glitter glue and acetate are not friends. So I thought, since I'm doing it with the acetate, I'll just go ahead and use the sticky tape. I'll just go ahead and use it for my other pieces as well. I have stamps on these little pieces, so I am going to just pull those up and use it anyway, even though I have stamps on them. Now, if you notice, I'm going over just a little bit, but that's okay. If you get it over the edge, remember what I told you. You can always just rub that back onto itself. Let's get this on here and make sure that it's adhered really well. There we go. And pull up our backer. And our backer. And this is the one that I was talking about that, excuse me for coughing in your ear. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, and sometimes when I'm so sorry, my allergies have been kicking lately. Please forgive me. Yeah, my allergies give me a fit in the spring and the fall, so they have really been kicking. Okay, so that's good right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this. I think what I want to do is I wanted to have some stability on this front piece first. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring this over. I'm going to actually, before we work on the acetate, let's get this box together. And I am going to use my mat to kind of, square this up so that I know that I've got it in a good square. And so I'm going to line it up right there and make sure this side lines up. I am going to use a little bit of art glitter glue. And I'm going to run my art glitter glue right along this piece. Just like that. And again, I'm going to use the mat so when I stick this down, I can tell that I'm squared. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And we just want to make sure that we're squaring everything up because we don't want our box to be all crooked when we get ready to put our cute little jar on it. So now we're going to hold this one up and just press it in. If you notice, I'll put a little bit more glue at the top. You can just wipe that off with your finger. And holding that down, I'm going to take my bone folder and just press inside on both sides. And now if you notice, we have the glue on this side. I am going to hold this like so, and I'm going to press that down first on this corner and then this corner. And that makes sure that our box is nice and square. Now the next thing I want to do is put the sticky tape on the acetate. So what I'm going to do is on the edges of it, right about there, I'm going to run that sticky tape right along the side. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I am going to trim this because I do not want that hanging over. This is how I got in trouble with these scissors a while ago, so let's grab these. This is what I should have done because these are Teflon coated and they're not going to stick. Sometimes they get a little sticky, but not as bad as my cutter beads, and I wish I hadn't have done that, but I'll clean those off with some cleaner, usually some squeaky clean. And if that doesn't work, I'll use a little alcohol. And if all else fails, I will use a little bit of oil, and that will break down that glue and get it off. So, and I noticed that the squeaky clean seems to be quite oil based as well, and I think that's why that works so well. All right, we got this ready to go, so let's go ahead and take our backers off of this, and then we can go ahead and sit this down. I'm going to take both sides off, and I'm going to show you a little trick here, and I'm sure this is not a trick, but I'm just going to show you what worked really well for me. Make sure that your piece that you're putting in is facing toward these two little strips, the sticky side up. And what I did is I put it in catty-cornered like that, and then I turned it just as I got it in and set it in just like that. And that's how easy it was to get that acetate in there and get it where I wanted it. Now it does pick up static, so any little debris is going to stick to it. But now when you sit this down on it, you have a wonderful window, and you need something there because you don't want your candies to fall out. So that's the purpose behind doing that. So we're going to glue this down as well, and I think for this I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the sticky tape, and well, do I want to use the sticky tape? Maybe not. I'm going to put the glue, but I'm going to put it down low, and I'm going to put it all the way out to this corner, this side, and all the way over to this side. The reason for that is I do not want my glue to ooze over onto that acetate. Now I'm going to put this down just like so, and I'm going to wiggle it until I get it exactly where I want it, just like that. And then I'm going to go inside and just press it really well, and that side is done. Just that easy. And now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but what I want to do is I want to kind of line them up so that it looks like the back and the front of our mason jar. So on this one, it doesn't matter. We can just run glue all the way across the back. We don't have to be careful. We don't have acetate. We just want to get the back of this jar as even to the front as we possibly can. Just like that. Isn't that cute? Now all that's left to do is do our decorating. And to me, this is the most fun part. Now, I did make this little bow, and this was a different bow than the one I put on the other one, but I think this will work too. And I'm actually thinking about maybe bending it around like this and down, and maybe this side up. I don't know. I did that with the other one, and then I didn't like it, so I ended up cutting these off. This is a die cut as well, and it is a Gina Marie die. And I know I have it right here somewhere because I cut these out earlier. Give me just a minute and let me grab that die, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and here's the die that I used. This is the one that I did on my prototype. That was the bow. And this one is actually this bow. As you can see, it was cut like that, but it always looks backwards when you actually bring it forward. So this is actually the bow, and I don't know if I want to use that bow or if I want another one like that, maybe even in a different color. Let's see. I think I'm gonna think on that for a minute. Let's go ahead and get our snowflakes and our little tag. I do have to grab up my Big Shot again because we've got to cut this tag. This is the cutest little tag when it's cut, and it came out of this Spellbinders Die Delights, and this one's called Flight 1, and there are 5 pieces. You get the bird cage, the tag, this little scrolly, and 2 little birds in this, and I will look this up and see if I can link it in the description, because this is just too cute. And I am going to cut this out of white paper, just like I did before. So let's get a little scrap of white. maybe something like that. And this is why you want to keep your little strips. You never ever know when you're going to need to cut something tiny, and this way I don't have to mess up a whole piece of paper just to get the little piece that I need. So we're going to go ahead and cut that, and I may cut that other bow. I'm trying to decide, do I want to do that bow out of white? I think the white bow would look stunning on that. And I have let my glue sit out too long, and I've got a clump, so let me get a wet wipe and see if I can clean that off just a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is, like I always tell you, I'm going to get that excess glue off of my pen, and then I'm just going to clean the tip of this off with the wet wipe. Sometimes that's all it takes to get the pen to go back in. So, yep, it goes right in like a charm. Alright, one more time with our die cut. I should have thought about that when I had it out. This thing is so humongous to move, but I do love the way it cuts. So because of that, I've really been embracing this die cut machine. It is a great little die cut machine. Not little, but good. And you know, I know that so many of y'all cannot afford a die cut machine, and I do understand that. But there are a lot of times that you can find real inexpensive small die cut machines. You don't always need a great big one. Most of our dies are not that big, so I've seen them at Tuesday mornings for like $14.99. They're small, but they do the job. And look at that cute little tag. Isn't that adorable? How tiny it is. Okay, we're going to lay that over there, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the bows, because I think I do want to do those out of a white. So I'm just going to put a piece of white cardstock in here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut both of them, because I can always save them and cut and use them somewhere else. So I'm going to put that in there, and let me get this back over here. I like to keep my dies straight so I'll remember where they go when I get ready to put them up. I dropped my die, but it did cut this bow, and this is the same one that I have over here in the multicolored Christmas, and see how pretty that looks. That is really a cute bow. I think I like it better in the white than I did the pattern, whereas I like the other one better. But let me get my die up off the floor where I dropped it, and I'm going to poke in these little holes and see if I can poke that one out. And there it comes. And I guess the style of bow is a personal preference. I think I still like this bow better. It just looks more like a traditional bow. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. I'm gonna set this back down. This thing's so big, I usually just keep it sitting down here on the floor by my work table, because it can be a little bit difficult to take up and down. So okay, that's the front of our tag. So I'm going to just try to clear a little bit of the trash out of here so that we're not working with our trash. And what did I do with my here they are. I'm going to put those back on the magnet. Well, it helps if I put them on the right side of the magnet. There we go. I'm going to lay those back up there with my other dies. Now, I'm going to bring this over because I want to decorate it with some of these white snowflakes. And I think what I want to do is I want to put one up here and maybe one over here and maybe one right there and maybe one down here. And I'm not trying to find matching, I'm just picking them up as I find them, and I'm just sitting them around on there. And I like that. I think that's very cute. The snowflakes look like they were just kind of scattered on there. So, and that's kind of what I wanted it to look like. So let's go ahead and use a little bit of art glitter glue, and we're going to put these down. So I'm going to put just a dab there and set that snowflake into it. We'll hold it just for a second and let it adhere. Same thing here. I'm going to put just a dab. And right here. And then here. You know, it's all about how you embellish something. So always remember that when you're making your cards or any of your little paper crafts, embellishing is what makes everything pop. So let's put this one right there. I got just a dab of glue. That's okay. I was able to wipe that up with no problem. So there, we have our little snowflakes on our jar. We have our acetate in. We have the back on it. So now I need to decide which bow I want to use, and I am thinking I want this one, but where do I want it? I think I want it right about here. So I am going to snip these off, just like that. And I am going to use a dimension, just one of these little, these are the little El Cheapo ones. I think I got them out of the bin at the, I don't know if it was Joann's or Michael's, but they always have their little dollar bin, $2 bins. So I think I got those there. And that's just the perfect size dot to hang this bow on. And it gives it a little bit of dimension where it sits up, and I like that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp, yes, I said stamp, on this tiny little tag. Now, I am using the stamp set that I'm carrying in my store, and it is called A Cozy Christmas, and this is the cutest little stamp set because you've got these little tiny sentiments in here. You've got a Merry Christmas, you have got what did I use on that one? Have yourself a merry little Christmas, and that's over here. That's this one. That's the one I used a while ago. See how tiny it is? And it fits right in there. We also have a little ornament, which that would be cute. We've got snowflakes, little tiny snowflakes that would definitely work on here. I love this little tiny Merry Christmas. So I think what we're going to do, after I put the pen back in my glue, I think my dog is dreaming. He's over there doing his little hiccup thing, but he's not hiccuping. I think he's chasing something in his sleep. Yes, and that was my Toby. But I'm going to clean the end off of my glue and my pen and get that back in there. Because while we're stamping, I don't think I'm going to use this one since I did a while ago. I think I'm going to put this one back on here. And it goes right here. But I think these are just so cute because they're so tiny. And a lot of people would think, what in the world am I going to do with a stamp set that has that many small things? But look at that stocking. The star, the little Christmas ornament, which I pulled off. I'm definitely going to use that. And let's load that on our stamp. Oh, let me get it just like I want it because I want it right in the center. There. I'm going to actually stamp this in the VersaFine black onyx, because I want to color this. I have not done this little ornament before. I have used it. I actually stamped off all of those, and there it is right there. Looks like a little bell. Isn't that cute? But see how tiny those little images are? But yet look how well they stamp. So they are very legible even though they're small. And there's a time when you need a smaller stamp. So I'm going to go right up here to the top of the hole in the tag, and I'm just going to set that down like that. And that is so, so cute. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean this off just a little bit. And I am going to pick up the Merry Christmas. And I think I want to stamp the Merry Christmas in red. And this is the VersaFine Claire in the color Glamorous. It's a beautiful red. And so we're going to stamp that right here at the bottom. Merry Christmas. That's stamped off really pretty too. So there's also this cute little thing that you can use, and it's the to and from, and it is so super tiny. I don't know if that's focusing, but it is super tiny. I'll stamp it on here and then I'll bring it up so you can see it. And I am going to put it this way and put it down right here. So as you can see, there is a need in our stamp collection for a tiny set of stamps. And if you like miniatures, you like little tiny things, this stamp set would be so for you. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And look at the little to and from. So cute. So dainty. Now what I want to do is I'm going to grab a Christmas green. I think this might be a good shade of green. That'll work. And I am going to go right across there with the green. I'm using the Tombow marker, and this is number 296. Just like that. And down like that. And now we need another color for the ball itself. And for Christmas, for me, I just cannot go wrong with red. So this is going to kind of tie this in. And how cute is that? Just like so. So now that little tag is ready to attach, which is just wonderful. So we can either tie a string, we can punch a hole right here and tie and put it on right there. We can put some twine. I wasn't real crazy about the twine on the other one that I did, and I'll tell you why. It took away from the jar, the rings right there in the jar, and I really like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I want to do a tiny punch. I think I'm going to use my Crocodile, but I'm going to use the smaller punch, and I want to go in, if it will let me. I should have thought about this. I'll tell you what we can do. Whenever you can't get your punch into an area that you need it to go into, just use your pokey tool. So I am going to take right about here, and I'm just going to drill it in just like that. I felt it pop through. And I have a perfect little hole right there. It looks like it was punched. It works beautifully. So I am going to take a little piece of this baker's twine. And I don't need a real big piece. Maybe about like this. And I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to feed it through this little tag. Just like that. And then I'm going to feed that in through the loop on the back. Oops. Making sure I get both of them. Then I'm going to draw that in. And now we can push this through. And again, you can use your pokey tool for that. Just lay it over top of it. And just use this to poke that down into the hole. If it won't go with that, then just use one of the bigger ones that will let you actually get the hole a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put that piece right there. Let's see if we can make it go. There we go. I was able to pull that through. You want to pull it far enough so it's not fraying. And then I'm going to pull it over to the side like that. And then I'm going to push that other piece through. Let's see if our tweezers will work a little bit better. Maybe we can come in through there with our tweezers. Yeah. And open them up just a tiny bit. And grab that. Oops. And that's just not wanting to play. So let's try it another way. We might have to make that hole just a tiny bit bigger. So if we need to do that, we'll just put this in here and wiggle it around. There we go. Now we can get that in there. Because what I wanted to do is I want to tie it on the back side so we don't see any of that to the front. And I'm going to bring this in down closer to the hole and just wiggle it in. There we go. And then just pull that in, just like that. And then we can tie this back here and then cut off our excess. So I'm going to tie it in a knot, and then another knot, and then I'm going to tighten it down to the length that I want it. Just like that. And then see, once you get it like that, then you can just take your scissors and trim that off. I think Toby hears my husband because I think he went out to the car and he heard him. So he's always barking. But anyway, this is this one. And you can take and put your Hershey Kisses in this one as well. Just a nice little handful of Hershey Kisses. And who doesn't love Hershey Kisses? I mean, really. And look how cute that is. And it was just that simple. I mean, this is a simple little project. We've been working on this for about 21 minutes. And we've got a very cute little gift to give. If you wanted to decorate these and do them for Halloween, you could do that. You could do them for Thanksgiving. You know, these would be so cute filled up with candy corn. But I just love the way they came together. Again, if you want to pick up the stamp set, head over to randomactsofcrafting.com. I'll have the link in the video below, and I'll also have the links for the other products that I used. And if you make one of these, go over to our Facebook group and share it on the Random Acts of Crafting Facebook group. I think it's Random Acts of Crafting by Kathy Champion. So if you will do that and be an inspiration, here are two that look a little different, but yet both of them are gorgeous. The only difference in the two is I did not do the Baker's Twin, because I think that took away from it. I like it better when you can see the rings. So again, if you make one of these, please share it so I can see it. I would love to see what you make and what you do. And until we craft again, I just want to say that I love and appreciate every one of you for all that you mean to me. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. It's so important for me to hear from you. A lot of times I don't know who watches my videos and who don't unless you leave me a comment. So comments are very important. I spoke with a friend of mine last night via the Facebook Messenger, and I had to ask her, did she watch my videos, because she doesn't normally comment, so I don't know if she's watching. So if you watch but never comment, please leave a comment. If it's just a 2-word comment to say, I enjoyed, or I like this, or if you would find something that you would do a little different, tell me that too. But anyway, I love you all. God bless you. And as I always say, let everything that you do and say bring glory to Him, because He is so worthy. Be an encouragement to someone today. Let someone know that you care about them and that you're there for them. It can mean so much. Until we craft again, it's Kathy Champion. Bye-bye.